Well, new numbers just out this morning, and they are shocking. Half of all Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their lifetime. The Canadian Cancer Society just released this new look this morning, and joining us now is Leah Smith. She is one of the report's authors. Good to have you with us this morning, Leah.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
These numbers seem startling when you say half. I mean, one of us, theoretically and statistically, is supposed to be diagnosed. Talk to us about these numbers. 1 in 4 Canadians diagnosed will die from the disease. Put this into context. Why does it seem so high?
That's right. So the big news coming out today is the new stat that nearly half of us will be diagnosed with cancer at some point during our lifetime. That is a very scary statistic in of itself. There are a couple of things to keep in mind when thinking about the statistic. First, cancer is very much a disease of aging. And so we're living longer than we used to live. And so that's part of the reason why this number is so high. Another thing to consider is that more and more people are surviving their cancer diagnosis. We're getting better at fighting this disease. And so the diagnosis isn't as scary all the time as it perhaps used to be in the past.
So when you talk about that, I had read a stat from your report that 90% of all new cases to be diagnosed in 2017 are in those 50 years and above. So the next question then is our healthcare system ready for this? What does this mean for our healthcare?
That's a great question. So one of the great things about this report is it gives us those numbers. It enables us to get prepared to face the continued challenge that we face with cancer. So we know that our population is growing, our population is aging, and with that we need more healthcare resources.
So now we talk about you had just mentioned it, that survival rates have improved. I mean, we got one snapshot with a very shocking headline of 1 in 2 Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. But give us now the broader view as we step back in terms of survival rates, prevention, control measures. What did you find in your report with that specifically?
So we've seen a lot of progress with cancer. Over the past 30 years, for example, we've seen death rates from cancer decrease dramatically. We've also continued to see an increase in survival rates. So in the 1940s, survival rates were about 25%, and now survival rates are over 60%. So
wow, that's significant.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, there's a lot you can do. So there's a lot we can do to take down these numbers even more and see a less and less impact of cancer. So prevention is really key. There's a lot Canadians can do to help protect themselves against cancer.
We're going to get to that more in just a second because that's very interesting. I think to empower people with the feeling that we can do something about this to a great degree. Let's talk about when you saw in your report that there are 4 of the most commonly diagnosed cancers. So tell us what you found that they were.
So that's lung, colorectal, breast, and prostate cancer. And those have been the top 4 leading causes of cancer for quite some time.
Okay, so now that we've got those 4, what can we do to take action to hopefully, as much as we can, prevent being diagnosed, particularly with the 4 most commonly diagnosed cancers?
So with lung cancer, for example, it's all about tobacco control. If you're a smoker, quit. If you have a loved one who smokes, support them in quitting. And there's a lot of programs available to help them in doing that. With colorectal and breast cancer, screening, early detection is key. We have great screening programs available across Canada, and so it's really about getting screened according to your recommendations.
Okay, and new research. I mean, listen, the survival rates, the numbers of which you have quoted that do give us a bright light in the fight against cancer. What do we need to do next? What does the government need to do in terms of putting together that funding to be able to continue to improve survival rates and the like?
I think research is really key. So we've made enormous progress with cancer over the past 30 plus years, but there's so much more we can do. There's a lot of research that continues to go unfunded, and so it's really about investing in our researchers and investing in the potential we have to really make an impact on cancer and continue to see that improvement.
So if you were to speak to Canadians who are this morning waking up to this headline, what is your takeaway for you as the author of this report with everything that you have seen that can leave us maybe with a little bit of hope?
So these numbers are scary. I think they're a bit of a reality check about the challenge we continue to face with cancer, but there is a lot we can do. Prevention is absolutely key, and research continues to improve the outlook for people who are diagnosed with cancer. And so we just look forward to continuing to make progress against this disease.
Well, we appreciate the work of reports like this by you and your team, so thank you so much for
enlightening
discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are going to continue with enlightening stories as we head over to Lindsey.